From immigrant to millionaire, the American dream journey. Luna's hands trembled as she wiped the sweat from her brow. The night shift at the small-town hospital had drained every ounce of her energy. Outside, the fog curled through the empty streets like whispered secrets. Dreams and despair hung thick in the chilly air, just like the kind Luna used to chase before life's harsh cracks ripped her apart. She was 28, a nurse who had fought tooth and nail to build a life here. But with every patient lost, every missed call from home, her chest tightened harder. She was tired, so tired. Then came the letter, a sleek envelope embossed with a golden M, sealed with an unfamiliar crest. Inside, an invitation she never imagined, an arranged marriage proposal from Henry Montgomery, the reclusive billionaire no one in town talked about, but everyone watched. The man whose mansion stood at the edge of town, silent and cold, like it held its own ghosts. Luna's heart pitched wildly. Walls swallowed sound, floors echoed beneath her nervous steps, and portraits of stern faces bore down like silent judges. Henry was a giant shadow moving slowly through his labyrinth of memories. His silence was deafening, his eyes hollow with loneliness. He hadn't smiled in decades. Luna's pulse hammered against ribs that felt too tight. She was caught between awe and dread, wrapped in silks and silence, surrounded by wealth, but starved for warmth. Just when she thought she might slip away, Henry's illness tightened its grip. One cold morning, the world hollowed out as he breathed his last, leaving Luna alone in that massive house filled with shadows. Then she found it, a folded letter, hidden under a loose floorboard beneath his favorite chair. The ink was shaky but deliberate. "I have loved your mother, Ellen Rossi, more than life itself," it read. The words slapped her like a punch. Ellen Rossi, the woman whose name clinged like an old wound, whispered about but never said. The mystery bite at the edges of her childhood suddenly roared to life. Luna's fingers curled tight around the letter, heart slamming against ribs like a warning. What did Henry really want? Why had he left this tangled secret for her? The shadows around her thickened. Family lies, old betrayals, and a legacy more dangerous than she'd feared. The mansion felt colder now, the money a cage. Who was she in this twisted game? Pawn? Heir? Or something no one had dared imagine? The wind howled through broken windows, rattling ancient doors. Luna's breath caught in her throat as soft knocking echoed down the empty hall. A figure appeared, slipping out of the mist, carrying truths darker than the night. The story wasn't over. Hey, before we continue with this incredible story, I need to give you an important warning. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube canceled their subscriptions without warning. Just check out the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I don't want you to miss any exclusive content coming up. And while you're there, leave that powerful like. It helps me a lot with the algorithm. Oh, and let me know in the comments, what city are you watching from? I love meeting all the amazing people who are part of this community. Your participation makes a difference. Let's interact. The wind shrieked through the cracked windows, and Luna's heart raced. She turned, the letter clutched tight in her hand. Shadows danced along the walls, mocking her fear. Who could be there? "Hello?" she called, her voice trembling. Silence answered, thick and suffocating. The air felt charged, almost alive, as if the mansion itself held its breath. Then she saw it, a figure stepping from the fog, eyes shimmering like shards of broken glass. "Luna?" the voice came, soft but heavy. "I'm here to speak with you." She squinted, trying to place the face. familiar yet foreign. It was a young woman, maybe her age, with dark curls and a confident stance. "Who are you?" Luna managed, every muscle in her body poised to flee. "I'm Callie," the woman replied. "I knew Henry. We need to talk about your mother." The name hit her like a stone. "My mother?" Luna's voice fell, barely a whisper. "What do you know about her?" Callie stepped closer, catching the dim light. Luna could see pain etched deeply into her features. "Henry never spoke of her, but I found out. It was his fault. Everything was his fault." The words tangled in Luna's mind. "What do you mean?" Her chest tightened, fear knotting her stomach. She had just stumbled upon a secret that seemed to open more wounds than it healed. "Your mother didn't just disappear, Luna. She was taken by Henry," Callie said, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. Luna felt the room tilt. "No, that's impossible." She almost laughed, the absurdity clawing at her. "He loved her. He wrote me a letter about his love for her." Callie shook her head, her voice urgent. "That was part of the lie. Your mother was deeper in Henry's world than you realize. It was a tangled web, and she was caught in it." Luna took a step back, processing the words. "Why are you telling me this?" "Because I'm her daughter too," Callie revealed, her voice cracking. "I know who she really was. An heiress fleeing an arranged marriage, just like you." Luna's breath caught. The world collapsed around her, spinning on its axis until nothing felt real. "What?" She was swimming in confusion. "That can't be right." Callie took a shaky breath. "That letter you found? It wasn't just a confession of love. It was a plea, a reminder that he held the power to change everything. Your mother, Ellen, ran from him, but he caught up to her and—" "Stop!" Luna exclaimed, the edges of her vision darkening. The ground beneath her felt like it was shaking. "You're lying. Why would you say this?" "Because I loved him once," Callie admitted. "I was a victim too. I was raised in his shadow, afraid of his power and blind to his cruelty. But I know he killed her, Luna. That's why he locked away the truth." A stifling silence enveloped them. Luna felt the walls around her closing in. She locked eyes with Callie, searching for any sign of deception, but found only raw desperation. "Why are you here now? Why didn't you come earlier?" "Because he only just died. The truth is finally free from his grasp." Callie's voice sank to a whisper. "But we need to find the truth before the shadows swallow us whole." Luna's heart raced as the mansion creaked around them, holding its breath for what came next. She could feel pieces of her life shifting, the ground beneath her cracking. Who was she in this horrific puzzle? The answers were there, tangled in a legacy of secrets and lies. But she had to know. "What do we do?" A distant shout echoed through the halls, stern and commanding. "Callie!" The voice of a man boomed, reverberating against the ancient walls. "Get away from her!" Panic surged within her. Luna's world spun faster, the air heavier. She turned to Callie, eyes wide. Who was coming? Was the truth closer than she'd ever imagined? Or was it a trap, a deeper shadow lying in wait? The darkness pressed in again, and she felt the weight of the secrets they were stepping into. The path ahead felt uncertain. Fear twisted in her gut. The musty air pulsed with danger, and Luna had to decide, would she take the chance or run? Luna's heart pounded in her chest as the commanding voice echoed through the mansion's dim hallways. Panic surged, filling her veins with ice. "Callie!" The urgency in that call was unmistakable. Who was that man? Did he know what they were uncovering? She turned to Callie, desperation flickering in her eyes. "We need to hide." But before they could move, the heavy door swung open with a creak that reverberated in the silence. A tall figure stood silhouetted in the doorway, the dim light casting ominous shadows across his chiseled features. "Luna," he breathed, recognizing her immediately. It was Jack, her childhood friend, the one person whose name she hadn't expected to hear in this twisted web of secrets. "What the hell are you doing here?" His eyes darted to Callie, suspicion flaring in them. "Jack, words tangled in her throat. She didn't know what to say. "Stay away from her," he yelled, taking a step forward, his protective nature ignited. "This isn't a game, Luna. You don't know what you're dealing with." But Luna felt the air shift. "No, you don't understand. Callie knows about my mother." Just then, the wind howled again, but this time it brought a sharp crack, resonating through the mansion. The chandelier above them trembled, the light flickering ominously. "We don't have time," Callie shouted, pulling Luna's elbow. "We have to go to the cellar. It's the only safe place." Luna glanced at Jack, his face a mix of concern and fury. "You can't trust her, Luna. She's lied to you." But Luna was caught in the storm of her emotions, torn between the shadows of the past and the urgency of the present. "I have to find out the truth." Suddenly, the door slammed shut, as if the house itself was angry. A gust of wind whipped through the room, blowing out the candles, plunging them into darkness. Luna's heart raced, pulse hammering in her ears. She looked blindly around for Callie, but Jack grabbed her arm, pulling her close. "Follow me," he whispered, his voice low and urgent as the walls creaked in protest. They hurried towards the back of the mansion, where the sounds of chaos echoed from somewhere deep below. The musty scent of damp earth filled the air as they descended the narrow staircase. In the cellar, the darkness felt heavier, like a shroud over their secrets. Luna stumbled, her hands brushing against cool stone walls. Callie was right behind them, her breath quickening in anxiety. "Listen," Callie urged, breathless. "When Henry died, he left more than just that letter. There were papers, evidence, if we can find them." But before she could finish, a thunderous crash sounded above them, followed by the vibrations of heavy footsteps thundering down the stairs. "Where are you?" The voice was low and menacing, rich with authority. Luna's heart sank as recognition washed over her. "That's him!" she gasped. "That's Henry's brother." Jack's face paled. "We have to get out of here." A flash of realization hit Luna like a bullet. "No, he wasn't just after Henry. He's after me. He wants the secrets about my mother." The pieces fell into place, warm and horrible. The past clawed its way into the present, tightening around her throat like a noose. "He knows about Callie, too." Another crash echoed close by, the ground trembling beneath them. They had to act fast. Jack pulled out his phone, the light cutting through the darkness. "This way," he urged, leading them towards a pile of dusty crates. Luna's breath came in sharp gasps as she followed, explosion of fear coursing through her. But the shocking twist came as the light illuminated Callie's face, her expression shifting. It turned from fear to something icy and cold. "You need to trust me, Luna. You don't know what you really are," she said, her voice steady yet filled with something darker. A voice rose up from the shadows behind the crates, catching them all off guard. "Why don't we tell her together, shall we?" The voice sent chills down Luna's spine. The figure stepped into the light, and her heart stopped. It was another woman, resemblance strikingly clear, a haunting reflection of her own face, wickedly smiling. "What? Who are you?" Luna gasped, each word a struggle. "I'm your sister," the woman replied with a languid tilt of her head. "And everything you think you know about your mother is about to shatter." In that moment, the ground gave way beneath Luna, her world spinning into chaos. Confusion tightened around her, like a vice. "No, this can't be true." But the truth was set to unravel, and as the walls closed in, Luna felt the shadows of her past and her family decisively shift. What had she stumbled into? The questions clawed at her as their fate hung in the balance, the nightmare just beginning to unfold. Luna's heart raced as she processed the shocking revelation. "You're my sister?" The words barely escaped her lips, her mind spinning. Confusion clouded her thoughts as she searched Callie's face for some sign of truth. The woman standing before her mirrored Luna's features, but the chilling smile didn't reach her eyes. "Yes, the missing piece of your mother's story," she said with an eerie calm. "And there's so much more you don't know." As the weight of those words settled over them, Jack gripped Luna's arm tighter. "No, this can't be happening. We need to get out of here." His voice trembled with urgency, his eyes darting toward the narrow entrance. But Callie stepped forward, her demeanor shifting. "You need to listen to me, both of you. I've been searching for years, and now it all makes sense." "Makes sense of what?" Jack snapped, his protective instinct flaring. Callie took a deep breath. "The truth about our mother. She didn't just flee. She had reasons, deep reasons, for leaving and keeping me away from this life. You need to trust me." As her words lingered in the air, the sound of footsteps echoed from the stairs. Heavy boots, nearing, growing closer. Luna's pulse quickened. "I saw something," Callie continued, urgency lacing her tone. "Documents, bound in leather, clues about our past. Henry hid them somewhere it would take everything he had to protect." A sudden slamming noise echoed through the cellar, rattling the walls. Jack's eyes widened. "We're not safe here. If he's here, we need to go now." "I can't just leave," Luna shot back, a fire igniting within her. "What if it unlocks the truth about everything? About her?" But before anyone could respond, a loud crash thundered from above, followed by a scream. It didn't sound human, more like an animal in distress. The chilling noise echoed, sending all three into a panic. "Luna! Callie!" The voice was gruff, familiar. It was Henry's brother, Thomas. "Get out of there! This is no game!" Jack shouted, pulling Luna closer as the sound of heavy footsteps thudded down the stairs. "We have to move. Not without knowing the truth. I need to find those documents," Luna insisted, desperation clawing at her insides. All at once, a blinding flash illuminated the cellar, filling every corner with a terrifying brightness. Luna shielded her eyes, but when she lowered her hand, what she saw changed everything. There, tangled among stacks of dusty crates, lay a small, shiny object, a locket. Before she could react, Callie lunged for it, her hands trembling. "Luna, this could have what we need inside." Callie opened the locket with shaking fingers, revealing a photo. It was a picture of two young women, her mother Ellen, and a face that made the air thicken. Luna's breath caught as she looked closer. The other woman was Callie, or at least her doppelganger. "No, it can't be," Luna whispered as recognition washed over her. But the moment hung in the air, heavy and fragile, until the echoing footsteps paused just outside their hidden corner. "You think you can hide?" Thomas's voice dripped with malice. "You think any of this matters? You're just pawns." Pawns, the word cut deep, leaving Luna reeling. The locket slipped through Callie's fingers, hitting the ground like a broken promise. "Run!" Jack yelled, shoving Luna forward. But not before Luna caught a glimpse of something glimmering in Callie's eyes, an emotion that was far from fear. Something deeper. "Luna," Callie called out, voice steady, yet laced with something darker. "It's time to decide what you truly want. The truth comes with a price." With that, the world shifted again, the ground trembling underfoot as shadows danced menacingly. As Thomas stepped into the cellar, fury and recognition flooding his features. Luna felt the walls of her reality close in. The choices piled up like sand, ready to slip through her fingers. What was the truth she was reaching for? Would it shatter her life or set her free? And as Thomas's figure loomed larger, Luna felt it. The weight of the secrets, the urgency of the unknown. The pieces were all coming together, and with it, the darkness beckoned. Are you ready to discover who you really are? Callie's voice echoed as Luna's heart raced, with a mix of fear and curiosity. Luna took a breath, knowing whatever came next would change everything. The question hung heavy in the air as the cellar dimmed, enveloping them in shadows. Would she embrace it or run? Time was slipping away. Luna felt the weight of the locket in her hand, but the moment Thomas appeared, all thoughts slipped away like dust in the wind. His presence loomed, filled with a dark intensity that twisted the air around them. "Enough of this!" he thundered, taking a step forward, eyes blazing with a fierce protectiveness that seemed larger than life. "You think you can just dig into what has been buried? You don't know the hell you're walking into." Luna's heart pounded louder, echoing in her ears like a war drum. She could sense Jack growing tense beside her, muscles coiling with instinct. "We won't let you take us away," he shouted, fear melding with defiance. "Take you away?" Thomas scoffed, but the malice escaped his voice, slipping into something deeper. "You think you have a choice? This has always been about family. Everything is about protecting what's left." "Protecting what? Lies?" Callie fired back, drawing herself up as if she could match him with sheer will. Her resolve cut through the darkness like a knife. "You only protect what you want, Thomas." The silence that fell was shattered by the growing pride in Callie's defiance. Luna's heart clenched, caught between the pull of old grudges and new revelations. She locked eyes with Callie, the weight of their shared history thick between them. "Someone has to know the truth," she murmured, almost to herself. Thomas started to laugh, a low, dangerous sound that sent chills through the damp air. "You think you're ready for the truth? You're just children, playing at being adults." Suddenly, the floor beneath them trembled, like the house itself was reacting to their words. The ground shifted, and cracks appeared, the walls closing in around them. Luna stumbled as panic clawed at her chest. "Get out!" Jack shouted, frantically pulling Luna toward the far end of the cellar. Now, but before they could retreat further, the walls trembled violently, and then, with a loud crack, the stone crumbled. Dust and debris exploded into the air, pressing like heavy hands against their lungs. In that moment of chaos, a hidden door swung wide open behind the piles of crates. From the darkness beyond, a blinding light emerged, washing over them and illuminating everything in a surreal glow. Luna squinted, disbelief flooding her senses. In the doorway stood a figure cloaked in light, someone she had never expected to see again. "Mom?" The whisper escaped Luna's lips, trembling with longing and disbelief. The woman stepped forward, face framed by a soft halo. "I'm here, Luna. I've always been here." Cold fear slithered up Luna's spine as the realization hit. This was not the tender reunion she had hoped for. Everything she thought she knew about her mother shattered like glass. The woman didn't wear the warmth and love of a mother. She wore the scars of a stranger. "Ellen?" Thomas's voice dropped, cracking under the weight of unexpected emotions. "You shouldn't have come back?" "Shouldn't have come back?" Ellen's voice was steady, but layered with a sorrow that drew them in. "I'm here to right what was wrong, to unearth the truth buried long ago." But the moment felt heavy with tension. The ground shook again, this time with purpose, and Luna stumbled, fear darting through her core. The mansion around them felt alive, alive with secrets, with a sinister energy begging to be unleashed. "Mom, you disappeared, you left us!" Luna shouted, her voice rising with a mix of accusation and longing. Ellen's expression shifted, but before she could answer, there was a final, violent crash above, sending dirt and splintered wood raining down. The chaos of the house felt like a living, breathing being, pushing them to the brink. "Everyone out!" Jack shouted, his strong grip on Luna's arm pulling her toward the exit. The haunting truth of their mother, backed by the encroaching shadows, compelled them to flee. But as they raced toward the light and safety of the hidden door, Ellen called out, "If you want the truth, decide now. Choose wisely." "Choose?" Luna gasped, fear mixing with desperation. "What do you mean?" The response hung in the air, electrifying and filled with more questions than answers. Darkness loomed behind them, and the ground quaked beneath their feet. What was the truth that could change everything? What choice lay ahead? One that could bind them together or rip their family apart forever. The light flickered, illuminating a path filled with potential. But the secrets whispered promises of destruction. Luna's heart thundered as she stepped closer to the edge of revelation. Which way would she ultimately go? Luna stood frozen as the light from the hidden doorway washed over them, illuminating her mother's face, Ellen. Years of questions collided with the immediacy of the moment. "Mom?" It came out as a breath, barely a whisper. "Luna, Ellen's voice was soft, but there was a tremor there, like she was fighting against a tide of emotions. "I'm here to explain, to help you understand." Before she could continue, the earth beneath them rumbled. Thomas's face contorted with rage. "You shouldn't have come back. This is none of your business." Ellen smirked, a flicker of challenge igniting in her eyes. "You've lost your grip, Thomas. You're not the man you think you are." Luna's heart raced. She wanted to run, to escape the chaos. Jack pulled her closer, his body tense beside her. "We need to leave," he urged, urgency lacing his tone. But Ellen stepped forward, her gaze sweeping over them. "You need to know why I left, why I couldn't stay." "Enough!" Thomas shouted, and the room felt like it was closing in. Suddenly, the ground shook violently, and Luna struggled to stay upright. "What's happening?" she cried, panic swelling. "They know we're here," Callie yelled, her voice rising over the chaos. "We have to push through the door." With every word, the tension mounted, and the house shuddered like a living creature. Luna's thoughts raced. How do we know it's safe? She could sense the danger creeping closer, the shadows of the truth waiting to swallow them whole. Ellen pointed toward the door, determination lighting her features. "You can trust me! I was trying to protect you both!" But trust felt like a fragile thing. Just then, a heavy thud sounded from above, followed by a deafening crack. Dust rained down like snow as a section of the ceiling collapsed, sending debris crashing to the ground. "Go!" Jack shouted, dragging Luna toward the doorway. But just as they reached it, an explosive sound burst forth, and something shattered the air around them. The bright light flickered off as Luna spun, eyes widening. There, hovering in the chaos, was a figure. Not Ellen, not Thomas, but a man, one she had never expected. "Father?" The word fell from Luna's lips as if pulled by gravity. The man stood there, face marked by shadows, yet unmistakable. "But you're dead!" she gasped, disbelief flooding her senses. "No, Luna, I was never dead," he said, voice low and gravelly. "I was kept away, hidden because of what your mother did." The room spun. Her heart thudded in her chest like an anxious drum. "What do you mean?" "Everything you thought you knew is a lie." He stepped forward, an avalanche of emotions crashing through the air. "Ellen wasn't just protecting you. She was running from the truth. Just then, Thomas roared, "No! You can't let him speak!" But it was too late. Luna, trapped in her father's gaze, realized she was standing on the precipice of everything she believed. "What truth?" she demanded, breathless. "Your mother loved both of us," he continued, urgency coating his voice. "She made choices no one could understand." The weight of those words crushed her. "You were involved in all of this?" She felt the parts of her identity crumbling around her. "Yes," he said quietly, stepping into the light. "But Ellen isn't the victim in this story. She made decisions that changed our family forever." With those words, a heavy silence enveloped them, thick with uncertainty. Not just about their past, but the darkness crouching in wait behind it. "Why now? Why reveal this?" Callie interjected, anger bubbling. "Because I need you all to understand. It's not just secrets that bind us. It's choices. Painful, irrevocable choices that may even define who we become," he replied, his voice steady. Before any of them could react, the ground heaved again, sending Luna sprawling. "Get out!" Jack shouted, but all she could feel was the weight of the truth crashing over her. Moments blurred as hysteria gripped them. Just when she thought she might understand, there came a deafening roar, sending ice through Luna's veins. The shadows stirred, and the room felt like it was about to split in two as her world teetered on the edge. In that split second, the line between illusion and reality blurred. As the walls shuddered, Luna's heart raced with the choice she could not comprehend. Would she accept this new truth, or would it shatter her completely? "Make your choice, Luna," her father's voice cut through the chaos, "before it's too late." And as the darkness encroached, enveloping them completely, she realized she would have to confront it all. This shattered legacy, the tangled lies, and the reality of who they truly were. Was she ready for the truth, or would it reveal more than she ever imagined? The question lingered like smoke in the air as the chaos fell into a consuming darkness. Luna felt it, the darkness creeping in, swallowing the hope that the weight of choices, of secrets, closed in like a tightening noose. "What truth?" she repeated, a trembling whisper coated in disbelief, hoping against hope for an answer that would restore her world. Her father stepped closer, the light casting a stark halo around him. "Your mother, she wasn't just running. She was escaping something much darker. I wanted to protect you, protect both of you." "Protect us from what?" Jack's voice was sharp, resolute. "We're not afraid of anything." But Luna could feel the tremors in the air, the tension thick and suffocating. Thomas's face twisted in rage, fists clenched. "This isn't your story to tell, John. You've already done enough damage." "Damage?" John shot back, unflinching. The confrontation crackled like a dangerous flame. "What do you think hiding the truth has done?" The structure around them groaned, bricks shivering like a living thing. "Enough!" Ellen's voice pierced through the chaos, firm and demanding. "I have to tell them." But before anyone could react, the entire cellar shook violently, sending a cascade of dust and debris raining down. Luna's heart raced. "What's happening?" An echoed rumble filled the air, and then suddenly, it happened. The hidden door burst open, spilling its brilliance into the dark, revealing a shadowy figure standing on the threshold, blocking the light like a doorframe of horrors. "Get away from them!" a voice bellowed, sharp and accusatory. Luna's blood ran cold as she recognized the figure. It was Henry Montgomery's son, a cruel smirk spreading across his face. "Did you really think you could dig into the past and not wake the dead?" The tension snapped like an electric wire. "Thomas!" Jack shouted, pulling Luna back, ready to shield her from whatever was coming. "Don't do this, Paul," Thomas shouted back, the fury spilling into desperation now. You don't know what you're dealing with. This was a family conflict. Betrayal hanging thick in the air. Paul stepped closer, eyes gleaming with a manic excitement. I know all about the Rossi women, every twisted little secret. His gaze darted between Luna, the mother she had just reunited with, and Callie, who stood between them like a fragile barrier. Secrets? Callie spat, hands clenched. What do you know? But before Paul could respond, the cellar shook once more. A low rumble preceded a blood-curdling scream that sliced through the air. A sound so raw, so visceral, it seized their attention. And just like that, the shadows seemed to deepen, wrapping around Paul like a cloak. Then came the gasp. The room collectively drew in a breath as Ellen doubled over, crumpling to the ground. Her eyes widened with fear, and the color drained from her face. No, she begged, clutching her chest. Not like this. What's wrong? Luna's voice rose in panic. Mom? But Ellen was already collapsing. The room spun as Luna reached out, desperate. Help her! Get them out! Jack yelled, his voice cutting through the fray as he tried to catch her mom. But then Paul stepped forward, arms raised, and what followed next felt like a nightmare unleashed. You all deserve to know the truth, but it's not the one you think. With those words, a bright flash erupted, illuminating the room for an instant. Luna's breath caught as she shielded her eyes. When she looked again, the chaos had transformed. The once solid figures around her, her father, her mother, Jack, shifted like mirages. And then everything fell into place, but in a way she could never have anticipated. You see, Ellen never really left us. Paul grinned, his eyes gleaming with malice. Luna's heart thundered in her chest as he continued. She's always been here, part of the darkness. She needs you to stay. She needs you to embrace it. Paul's words sliced through the tension like steel. Luna felt the foundations of her reality shatter in an instant. You're lying, she screamed, eyes wide as terror ignited inside. No, he said, his voice hauntingly calm. You've just never been told the true story of the Rossi family. It's deeper and darker than any of you can imagine. And as the walls closed tighter around her, the truth lurked in the shadows, waiting to be unearthed. Who was her mother, really? What legacy had they unwittingly stepped into? The questions clawed at her as her heart raced, teetering on the edge of a revelation that could fracture everything she ever knew. Luna stood at the edge of chaos, uncertainty swirling around her like a thick fog. You're lying, she shouted, her voice straining against the din. Paul's cruel grin morphed into an unsettling smirk, the shadows behind him shifting as if they had their own life. But before he could respond, a sudden explosion erupted from above, a thunderous roar that shook everything to its core. Dust and debris tumbled down, filling the air with chaos. Look out! Jack shouted, pulling Luna to the ground just as a heavy beam crashed where they had been standing. Panic surged in her chest, every instinct screaming to flee. As the screams echoed and chaos reigned supreme, Luna saw something twist behind Paul. A flicker of movement, something unnatural. Before she could process it, a shadow detached itself from the... Luna! Callie shouted, breaking Luna from her stupor. Run! Without thinking, Luna bolted toward the door, but the shadow surged forward, wrapping around her ankles in a cold, clammy grip. No! She screamed, desperation clawing at her throat. But then, something shifted within her. A surge of energy coursed through her body, shoving back against the darkness. Let me go! With a fierce determination, she yanked her leg free, the shadow recoiling as if stung. Luna ran, barreling through the door and into the light, pulling Jack and Callie with her. But the chaos didn't stop. Behind them, Paul laughed, a harsh, unsettling sound that carried over the tremor of the collapsing house. You can't escape the truth. Outside, they stumbled into the cool night air. The estate loomed behind them, a beast of shadows as the lights flickered on and off like a dying star. "Did you see that?" Callie panted, glancing back. "What was that thing?" "I don't know," Luna replied, breathless. "But it came for me. What is happening?" But just as Jack started to respond, the earth shuddered again. They all fell to the ground, the impact rippling through them. Luna's heart raced. Was it the house? But no. It felt different, a deep thrumming underfoot that pulsed with a sinister energy. Then, as the tremors subsided, a strange glow appeared at the edge of the estate. A figure stepped into view. Tall, powerful, casting an imposing shadow. Luna's breath caught in her throat. Ellen emerged from the darkness, her features oddly luminous, almost ethereal. "You shouldn't have left," she said, her voice echoing like a distant memory. The calmness in her tone felt unsettling, as if she had suddenly become someone else. Luna shook her head, confused. "Mom, what do you mean? What's happening?" But Ellen didn't answer. Instead, she reached out her hand towards Luna, fingers extended. The glow intensified, casting eerie light across the ground. "It's time to embrace the truth," she said. And in that moment, something shifted within her. Luna felt a pull, a magnetism she couldn't deny. It was like the shadows beckoned her closer, wrapping her in warmth and fear. "No, you're not doing this." Ellen's eyes flashed, a spark of something dark and ancient swirling in their depths. "It's not about what I want. It's about who you are." And suddenly, the world spun again, as if the very ground beneath her was alive, shaking with a power that threatened to swallow them all. Luna felt her heart race, not with fear, but with something else, something latent and powerful. "Get back!" Jack shouted, pulling Luna away as the energy pulsed like a heartbeat. But it was too late. A blinding flash erupted from Ellen, engulfing the surroundings. Luna's scream tore through the air, swallowed by the brilliance. And then, everything stopped. In the stillness, it became glaringly clear. Luna gasped, her chest tightening as the truth washed over her like ice water. The figure of her mother was wearing a mask, one that slid away, revealing a face that was not Ellen at all, but someone even more terrifying. "Hello, Luna," the figure said, with a twisted smile that made her blood run cold. "I've been waiting for you." Time froze. Every breath she took felt heavy with the weight of betrayal. "Who are you?" "Who I am isn't important," it replied, a glimmer of malice in its voice. "What matters is you're part of a legacy far bigger than you can imagine." And just like that, everything she thought she knew shattered. The shadows went quiet, and the night pulled in tight, leaving only a chilling silence as Luna stood in the truth she never wanted to face. What was this legacy? What had she truly become? There was no turning back now, and as the realization hit her, she knew they were about to step into a darkness that no one could possibly prepare for. Luna stood frozen, the weight of the figure before her pressing down like a heavy fog. "Who are you?" she whispered, dread flooding her veins. The figure grinned, sinister and knowing, making every instinct within her scream to retreat. "I am the truth," it replied, voice smooth like silk, but cold as ice. "I've waited long enough. Now it's time for you to understand who you really are." As the light flickered around them, Luna felt the floor shift, shaking underfoot. He glanced at Jack and Callie, their faces mirrors of shock and confusion. What was unfolding felt like the pages of a horror story, she had never signed up for. "Leave her alone!" Jack stepped forward, fists clenched, muscles taut. "This isn't your place." But the figure stepped closer, invading their space, tension crackling like static electricity in the air. "Oh, but it is. You see, Ellen, your mother has more than just a past. She has hidden her true nature for far too long." "Shut up!" Callie called out, trying desperately to shield Luna with her body. "Why do you care?" Paul snapped, turning his eerie gaze toward her. "You're just another pawn in this game." His words dripped with disdain, but when he turned back to Luna, his expression shifted. A hint of something calculating flashed in his eyes. "Enough!" Ellen, or whatever dark echo of her mother this was, shouted, raising her palm. The air thickened, vibrating with urgency. "You need to know. All of you. I was never just your mother. I was chosen, bound by the darkness that flows through this family. And so are you, Luna." Luna felt the crackle of unexpected power ripple inside her. "I don't want any part of this. You're lying!" Panic surged, thick and uncomfortable. But as Ellen's form flickered, hesitating between shadow and light, she took a step closer to Luna again, eyes burning with intensity. "You need to embrace it, like I did." Just then, the air cracked open with a blinding flash, and the world tilted again. Luna instinctively shielded her eyes. When she looked up, it was no longer Ellen standing there, but a younger version of her mother. The transformation was shocking, filled with vibrant energy yet shadowed by an age-old pain. "Luna, I did what I had to do, to protect you," younger Ellen pleaded, her voice a haunting melody that resonated within Luna's heart. "Protect me from what?" Luna narrowed her eyes, confusion and anger boiling beneath her skin. "Why is all of this happening? Who are we?" Suddenly the ground rumbled again, echoing with a low growl. "You'll find out soon enough," Paul said, smirking again. But this time, something snapped inside Luna. "You think I'm afraid? I'm done running," she yelled, steeling herself. Every fiber in her being screamed to confront whatever was lurking beneath the family's surface. But then, just as she stood tall, the blinding light exploded, and a figure emerged, a man, tall and fierce, arms crossed, the very image of defiance. Shock washed over her. It was him, her father, John. He shouted, voice booming, filled with authority. "You've seen and heard enough. This isn't my plan, it's hers." He gestured wildly at Ellen, and the room froze with disbelief. "What do you mean?" Callie whispered, her eyes wide, caught in the twisted family drama, like an unwilling participant on a stage she had never auditioned for. "This has always been about the bloodline," John continued. "They are not what you think, and neither are you." Every word hung heavy in the air. Moments wrestled with silence and confusion. But then came the twist. As the detritus of the collapsing house tumbled down, Luna felt a surge of energy, a rush of knowing. "No, I'm not them!" she cried, tears pooling in her eyes. "I don't want your legacy. I want my life." But Paul laughed, a cruel sound echoing against the damp walls. "It's too late for that, Luna. You're already inside this web, and there are no exits." And just as the chaos around them peaked, the roof gave way above, sending a cascade of debris crashing down. In that heartbeat, a flash of understanding engulfed Luna. The true horror hit like a freight train. "Run!" Jack shouted, grabbing her wrist, but in the chaos, Luna felt her body stiffen, caught in the mesmerizing pull of newfound energy swirling within her. "Leave!" she yelled, but it was too late. With a final thunderous crash, the ground beneath her shattered completely, and the whole world spun into darkness. Luna's heart stopped as she plummeted, fear mixing with fury. What had she unleashed, And could she still choose a different path? In that spiraling void, echoes of truth and lies intertwined. And as consciousness faded, one question lingered in the shadows. Who was she becoming? Luna fell, the darkness swallowing her whole. It felt like an eternity, her heart racing like a wild horse, fear clenching around her throat. What's happening? She thought, spiraling through nothingness. She wanted to scream, but the air around her felt thick, heavy with despair. Then, without warning, the ground appeared beneath her. She landed hard, the impact knocking the breath from her lungs. Dazed, she took a moment to gather herself. The darkness faded into a dim light, revealing a cold, stone chamber filled with shadows. Dust floated in the air. Where am I? Panic surged as she scanned her surroundings. She wasn't alone. Jack was beside her, Callie further off, looking equally disoriented. Are you two okay? Her voice trembled, anxiety rising in her chest. Jack shook his head, trying to regain his composure. What just happened? Was that... Mom! Callie shouted, panic lacing her voice. Where's your mom? But three exchanged frantic looks, the air thickening with an unspoken dread. We have to find them, Luna said, her tone fierce. They were just here. As they stumbled forward, their footsteps echoing off the ancient walls, the chamber felt alive. Each whisper of wind carried with it the faintest hint of treachery. Luna's pulse quickened, dread gnawing at her. Do you hear that? Jack whispered, straining to catch any sound. Suddenly, they heard a faint, rhythmic pounding, like a distant drumbeat. It grew louder, resonating through the stone. Luna's heart raced. What is that? Just then, a door creaked open at the far end of the chamber, startling them. Light spilled in, illuminating a figure stepping into the room. As the figure emerged from the shadows, Luna's breath caught in her throat. Standing before them was her mother, Ellen, but she looked different. Mom? Luna's voice was shaky, disbelief flooding her senses. Is that really you? Ellen was dressed in flowing white robes that glimmered, her hair cascading down her shoulders like a waterfall. You've come, she said, her eyes piercing through the dim light. But there was something strange in her tone, something off. Where is Dad? Luna asked, pushing through her confusion. We need to get out of here. Ellen's expression shifted, shadows flitting across her face. You don't understand. They need to know the truth. The truth? Jack echoed, eyes narrowing. What truth? Before she could answer, a deep rumble shook the chamber, the walls vibrating ominously. Dust fell from above. Callie grabbed Luna's arm, her grip tight and urgent. Luna, we need to run, she pleaded, fear etched in her features. But then Ellen lifted her hand, commanding silence. You must listen. What I've hidden can't remain buried, she declared, voice resonating with an authoritative strength. Luna's heart raced. What are you talking about? And then it happened. The ground trembled beneath them, and the stone ruptured, dark tendrils weaving through the cracks. Ellen's face twisted with despair. No, this wasn't how it was supposed to unfold. Suddenly, a shadow coiled at her feet, spiraling upward. Luna watched in horror as Ellen began to change, her image fracturing like glass. Mom, stop! But the transformation accelerated. Ellen's visage split apart, revealing a horde of writhing shadows spilling forth. The air pulsed with a suffocating energy. We have to escape! Jack shouted, his voice breaking through the chaos. Wait! Callie screamed. What does this mean? Amidst the chaos, a piercing laugh erupted, echoing through the chamber. Paul stepped forward from the shadows, a twisted grin plastered on his face. You thought you could uncover the legacy and not face the consequences? This is just the beginning. The shadows intensified, swirling around them like a storm. Luna's heart sank as clarity struck. No, this is a trap, she breathed, realization crashing down like a wave. Eowyn's true nature unfolded before them, a terrifying revelation that shattered any flicker of hope. Embrace your destiny. You're not just Rossi blood, you're born of it. With those words, the shadows lunged forward, reaching for Luna, Jack, and Callie. Fear surged as they stumbled back, but the walls shook violently, threatening to imprison them in darkness once more. Luna felt the power of the shadowy tendrils, the bond pulling her toward them. As everything collapsed around them, one thought ignited in her mind. Could she break free from the chains of fate, or was she destined to join the horrors that had consumed her family? The chamber erupted in a blinding flash, and as the light faded, all became still. Where the shadows had been, nothing remained. But Luna felt it, an unsettling emptiness beneath the chaos. Something lurking behind her mother's facade. Was she truly safe, or had she become